As I began to do research for the book, The New Retirement-Mentality, I found that traditional retirement in our society is founded upon what I would call major retire myths. Let me share some of the things I found out. Myth number one, the age of 65 is old. Is it? Do you believe that? Think back of somebody you knew 30 years ago, 35 years ago, who was 65 years old. And now think of somebody you know today who's 65. Do they seem like people of the same age? No, they don't. And why? Because today's 65-year-old is not like a generation ago, the person who was 65 years old. They are much younger 65-year-old. We all know this. One doctor wrote a book called Real Age, where you can take a litany of tests about your lifestyle, your habits, your diet, the way you approach your work, your attitude. And at the end of this calculation, you come up with a real age, how old you really are, the person on the inside. How many of you, for example, know someone who's 65 years old and acts like they're 35? I'm sure you know someone. But on the other hand, how many of you know somebody who's 35 and acts like they're 65? So in large respect, we know that age is as much a matter of attitude as it is chronology. My favorite quote along these lines came from Satchel Paige, who said, "How old would you be if you didn't know how old you were?" Well, we have a lot of 65-year-olds today who feel and act and are ready to live a life like a 45-year-old, and we don't need a cultural expectation that says it's time for you to move to the sideline. Another myth says that being retired means you no longer work. Well, how then do we explain the fact that so many people are going back to work and are being invited to go back to work? The Home Depot Corporation, for example, has started a national initiative recruiting people 65 years old and older to come to work for them. Why? Because they find they have better work ethics. They find that they don't show up sick. They find that they do a good job and they love meeting with people and enjoy what they're doing. We find that over 50% of the people that do retire want to go back to work part-time within a year. Well, as one fellow put it, his wife said, "I married you for better or for worse, but not for lunch. Get out." They find that space of one person or both people going to work part-time is good. It's advantageous. We find many people upon retiring that maybe we threw the baby out with the bathwater. Maybe work wasn't the problem. Maybe it was the place we worked, the people we worked with. Maybe it was the megalomaniac boss, or maybe it was the corporation we worked for. But upon leaving, a lot of people realize there is virtue in work. Freud said to be happy, we need both love and work in our lives. Maybe he had something there. Another myth around retirement is that we need to be 62 to do what we really want to do. Now, I know we don't hear people walking around saying this, but it's like a tacit acknowledgement in our culture that if you really want to do something, just wait until you can retire to do it. Well, I'd like to challenge that assumption. Why would you work 40 years at something you didn't enjoy for the hope that someday you could get the ring and go do the thing you wanted to do? My question is, what if you arrive at the age of 62 with 4 flat tires? What do you want to be when you grow up? I don't care if you're 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, or 65. Ask yourself that question. What do you want to be when you grow up? You don't have to wait until you're 62 to do the thing that you want to do. The next myth is that retirement is exclusively a financial event. When I say the term retirement planning, what do you think of? You probably think of financial planning toward retirement and having enough money. As if, as one executive put it to me, when I retire, what do you want me to do? Hug my checkbook? Is this my life? No, retirement planning has to do with finances, of course, but it also has to do with our family life, our social life, our work life, our self-actualization, our list of goals, the places we want to go, the things we want to do, the things that are undone in our lives. This is all a part of retirement planning. As I often say to people, what's the point of saving this huge nest egg so you can someday put it in a dying tree? There's more to retirement planning than just getting your finances in order. The final myth that I'd like to talk about is that a life of total ease is the ultimate retirement goal. Now I'm going after those pictures of golf clubs and fishing poles and boats and beaches eternal on the front of the retirement brochure, and I'm asking the question, is this really going to make you happy? You know, a friend of mine who's a retired rancher who's not really retired, he still works part-time. I asked him why he wasn't down at the cafe playing cards all day with all the other retirees, and he gave me an interesting answer. He said, you know, I tried that for a week, and he said after the third day, it was all reruns. He found out that you can be quickly bored with leisure and that it doesn't fuel the spirit. And that's what this is really about, keeping your spirit energized toward life, continuing to be curious, continuing to be challenged. And this is a serious issue. Recent Alzheimer's research demonstrates that if you're not intellectually challenged in your 50s, 60s, and 70s, you're going to set yourself up on a quick course for decline. Yes, we're learning that a life of total ease is one step from a life of disease. We don't want to be in a situation where we go into quick decline because we have nothing that energizes our life any further. And that's the only promise that a life of total leisure can really make, that we are going to get quickly bored with it. So we don't want to become bored and we don't want to become boring. We don't want to rust out. We want to wear out. But we're not going to wear out just playing games. We're going to wear out because we got balance in our lives. We've got leisure, we've got relaxation, we've got work that challenges us, and we have some balance and curiosity. We're still trying to grow. We're still energized every single day of our lives.